I mean, it was like bloody murder going on. And me and Candus just like looked at each other, and her eyes were just so. I just. From 110, 110 Hill Road off of Beach Street. You should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now. 335. You say when you got the original call that mom went on a run and when she came back the daughter was gone? Before that's what the father advised. He's at work about an hour away, trying to make his way home.
Just wondering, has Summer ever wandered off before?
According to family members, it's not common for her to wander off.
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here.
I come to that conclusion right away, but...
And what brought you to that conclusion? That was pretty quick, right? I mean, just knowing her, and that because we tried to scare the heck out of her and let her know, because we do have bears. Right. And we do, them dogs, everybody keeps talking.
Right. And my daughter never goes out into the woods because we've taught her there's dangerous snakes, there's bears, there's pack of dogs, there's coyotes, there's everything magical out there in the woods that could hurt you.
Okay.
I've even taught my boys that.
Okay.
And I have never stressed that enough. I tell her that every day.
Right.
And she would never, ever go anywhere than that swing that's on that tree.
Okay.
Despite the countless hours of tireless work, the circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain unclear. At this time, there is no evidence that she was abducted. However, all avenues continue to be explored, including foul play and the very real possibility that she wandered off and became lost in the mountainous, rough terrain surrounding her home.
But there was a neighbor that got a recording of a bear in the beginning, and it was very close to the Wells residence. It's come from a very reliable source. I don't want to say who my source is because I don't want to lose my source. But a very reliable source that in the beginning, on the very evening that Summer went missing, when they did not find her within the first 4 hours, they were thinking a bear got her.
Oh, wow. Okay, so probably somebody got, some camera footage or something, which happens, often.
Right. And that is the reason that they didn't, set up roadblocks and everything, because they just assumed it was
the bear
her walking off and getting lost. They thought that they did not think anybody removed her from that property. So they, were concentrating on getting the radio towers in. They were concentrating on getting more radios in. They didn't even have enough radios for the search personnel.
Yeah.
What guy's saying with the bear, it doesn't necessarily mean a bear was on the Wells property and got Summer there. Summer could have, wandered off behind her dogs. I was at the Wells house, and I've talked about this numerous times. But me and Candus were outside. We were chopping weeds, and, we were cleaning up the driveway right there, right in front of her front door. That way we could widen her driveway out so people would have room to park, a little bit better when they came up there. And it was actually a lady that was up there. she left that day, and the dogs, chased her down the driveway. They didn't bark or nothing. They just ran down the driveway quiet. It was just a little while later, like maybe, I don't even know how long. It could have been up to 20 minutes later. It could have been as few as 5 minutes, But those dogs started going berserk. They were squealing, they were barking, it was like bloody murder going on. And me and Candus just like looked at each other, and her eyes were just so. I just, I think that she's got it in her mind that something like that happened to Summer, and she does not want to talk about that as a possibility. She doesn't want to imagine it, and she pushes it out of her head. But those dogs were down there doing that, and I said, let's go get them. I was like, I'll go with you. We got these hoes. And she was like, we are not going down there. I'm not going down there. She was like, that's like probably a bear. The
So she
dogs
was
came home.
afraid to go in the woods.
She was afraid to go in the woods.
And then is that like, and so she wouldn't go down there with you guys to check that out?
Well, it's just with me. She wouldn't go down there to check that out. When the dogs came back up there, one of them was cut. It was just a perfect claw mark, like from its ankle all the way up underneath its, up to its armpit on its front. I want to say it's its front right paw.
Wow,
leg.
so got by something.
And they were all bloodied, muddied, wet, but there was only 3 of them that had actually open wounds. And we were trying to wipe. She had towels and blankets, and we were trying to dry them off and everything. And she said something about medicine on the cuts, and I was just like, oh, I've got some like Neosporin. It was Equate Neosporin, generic stuff. And I had took it with me because I'm going up there with the intent on helping her clean and pick trash up out of the yard and stuff. And if I got cut, I wanted some Neosporin.
Yeah.
And I just happened to have it with me. And it was like she, so it's like people say that, she doesn't take care of the dogs and everything. And I think back to that day, and I'm like, no, you just don't understand. She was concerned about the dogs, but she was also, you can't go down there and fight a bear.
Right.
You can't. You just don't go fight a bear. But, she did show concern. She did want, show, like, she had the thought for putting medicine on the dogs and stuff like that, but, there was something. What it was they fought with down there, I have no idea. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. But we sure heard the dogs. And their wounds were, they were some very long claws that caused them wounds.
Oh, man.
And I'll tell you something else that's real bad in the mountains when you live in them. It's nothing but coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
Coyotes is a pack animal. They travel in packs and they attack in packs.
Very similar to a dingo. The Lindy Chamberlain story. I'm not so sure that one would be able to carry off a 5-year-old without leaving a mess, but if that child was way up in the mountain or something, it's hard telling. And it's like, I went back in my emails all the way back to the beginning, and I found some that were from locals that there were like maybe within a 5-mile radius of the Wells home, and they were all telling me about bears, and I never responded to them. I've reached out to them. I've only gotten an email back from one. I have spoken with a couple of other locals, and one person has told me that it came directly from Ronnie Lawson's mouth that they think that it was the bear that got Summer. They took one from Tusculum University over here, which, I mean, bird's eye view is really not that far from the Wells property. You know, by road it's probably a 30-minute drive, but for a bear, you know, straight shot. But it was like a 550-pound bear. That bear was huge, humongous.
And I mean, when I say I'm in Kentucky, I'm close to the Tennessee line. So if we got them here, I know they got them there.
Oh yeah, they've got a lot of them.
And hogs.
But it's not unheard of for a bear to attack in East Tennessee. But you know, the emails that I got from a few of the locals, and then what TBI and law enforcement and local media say about her walking away, and then the person that told me that it came directly from Ronnie Lawson's mouth that, you know, they felt like it was a bear. It really makes you wonder.
It's a loading squall, and I'll send it to you.
But I mean, could you just imagine, you know, what if, you know, it turns out that it was a bear? What if there's some kind of evidence found to prove that it was a bear? You know, and it's possible if it was a bear, she'll never be found.
I hope it can be proved.
Yes. Answers.
If that
Just
be the
some kind of
case.
Closure.
Yeah.
As Summer's disappearance approaches the 10-month mark, the scenarios of what happened the night of June 15th continue to grow.
The wandering away, sneaking off to go play or whatever she may have done, that is a viable option.
The night she went missing, authorities said she walked away from her house. The following day, an Amber Alert was issued. Anybody else?
When this first came out, you guys said that Summer was last seen walking away from her home. That was like one of the initial reports that night. And then things kind of changed the following days. Is there any evidence that she walked away from home, or any evidence leading toward an abduction, or do we have any evidence of anything that night otherwise?
We don't have anything specific, and I think what's important to note there is that the sheriff mentioned that how many hours we've put into this investigation and how much time has been spent exploring every possibility: walk-off, abduction, other foul means. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind is it's still really wide open as to the what. We try to stay away from developing theories and just follow facts.
Hope. And I've still got that hope that Summer's alive, you know? And I don't like talking about the bear theory, because if the bear theory is correct, then Summer's no longer with us. If someone took Summer, there's a 50-50 chance she's alive.